Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Muhammad's Boom Boom Room, where all of my guests either agree with me completely or they go boom. I am your host, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon me. And with me now is an Austrian psychologist, neurologist, and an avid snorter of cocaine, Dr. Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud! So happy you could join me. Would you care for a snack?
No, thank you, Mohammed. Don't go to any trouble.
No trouble at all. When you have as many slaves as I do, you can have unlimited sex. Snacks. Smacks. What are you writing about me? Why are you showing me that? As everyone knows, I can't read. So anyway, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm the doctor of the mind, so to speak. I'm known as the father of psychoanalysis.
At least psychoanalysis has a father. So, my biological father, Abdullah, died months, or possibly even years, before I was born.
And how did that make you feel?
I didn't feel anything. I was still just a blood clot.
Interesting.
So, after I was born, my mother, Emina, sent me to live with a family of total strangers in the desert.
It must have been difficult for you being separated from your mother. Did this cause any resentment?
I was a baby. I didn't know any better.
Interesting.
Until I was 4 years old, my desert family was the only family I knew. But then they decided to get rid of me.
And why did they want to get rid of you?
Well, they concluded that I was demon-possessed after two men split me open and washed my heart and the rest of my body. So they sent me back to my mother.
And how did it feel being torn away from the only family you ever knew?
How would I know? I was only 4 years old. 2 years younger than Aisha when I married her. Kids are stupid. But I do remember how happy I was spending time with my mother.
Tell me more about your relationship with your mother.
There's nothing to tell. She died.
She died?
Yes, she died when I was 6 years old. The same age Aisha was when I married her.
That must have been so difficult for you.
Well, by this time I was learning that everyone leaves me. Everyone leaves little Mo. So I was getting used to it. That's when I was sent to live with my grandfather, Abdul Muttalib. Even my biological father, who died months or years before I was born, had a father. Why does everyone have a father except for me?
Tell me about your grandfather.
I can't. He died.
Er ist auch tot. He died too?
Yes, he died when I was 8 years old. 2 years older than Aisha was when I married her.
Mohammed, are you telling me that every close relationship you had for the first 8 years of your life ended in death or abandonment?
Peace be upon me. My uncle, he tried to take care of me after that. He basically made sure that I didn't starve to death.
And how has all of this affected you?
Well, you know what they say. Whatever doesn't kill you gives you the sexual strength of 30 men.
Mohammed, have you ever heard of the unconscious?
Isn't that what happens to my wives when I beat them?
Probably. But when I refer to the unconscious, I mean what some people call the subconscious. Human beings repress certain memories and experiences and feelings. We may not be aware of them at the conscious level, but they are still active in our minds.
Sounds like pagan philosophy.
Mohammed, all of the loss you experienced as a child has affected you very deeply. And based on the most recent research, we know how these experiences tend to affect people. Based on the loss of your father and every father figure you had in your very early years, we can predict that you will be hostile to father figures, that you will rebel against authority and tradition, and that you will always have trouble forming normal, healthy relationships with other people. Based on the loss of your mother and every mother figure you had in your early years, we can predict that you will spend a great deal of your life searching for a mother figure, and that you will simultaneously strive to maintain complete control over women.
Nonsense! Why would the great God Allah choose me as his last and greatest prophet if I've been psychologically bottom and thighs, lobotomized, traumatized?
Tell me about this Allah.
The great God Allah is the almighty creator of the universe, most gracious, most merciful. He's the same God preached by Jews and Christians.
Really? Jews and Christians believe that God is their heavenly Father. Do you believe that God is your heavenly Father?
No! The great God Allah is a father to no one. Allah is the master, and we are all slaves. The only relationship any of us can have with the great God Allah is a slave-to-master relationship.
Problem with father figures? Check.
What? I don't have a problem with father figures. I even adopted a son named Zaid.
And how did that relationship turn out?
Well, I eventually married my adopted son's ex-wife after I caused the divorce by lusting after her. Then the great God Allah abolished adoption in Islam in order to justify my marriage to my adopted son's ex-wife. And I sent Zayd into a battle where Muslims were outnumbered 65-1, and Zayd was slaughtered.
Difficulty forming normal relationships. Check.
What? What could be more normal than marrying the divorced wife of my own adopted son, abolishing adoption in order to justify the marriage, and sending my former adopted son to his certain death?
Tell me, Muhammad, how did you get along with the men and women of your tribe? Did you fit in well?
Not really. After declaring that I was Allah's final prophet, I ordered them to submit to me. When they wouldn't submit to me, I raised an army and conquered them.
You conquered your own city and your own tribe?
Peace be upon me.
Rebellion against authority and tradition. Check.
I don't like where you're going with this.
Then let's take things in a slightly different direction. How old was your mother when you were born?
She was around 15 years old.
And how old was your first wife?
She was 15 years older than me.
So you married a woman who was the same age your mother would have been if she hadn't died?
Peace be upon me.
After you married her, what would you do if you were frightened?
I would run home to my wife Khadija, and I would tell her to cover me, to protect me.
Mohammed, I'm going to be very frank with you. We have to take steps to ensure that you never gain political or religious power over other people. If you ever gain power over a significant number of people, you are going to imprint your psychological trauma onto a larger population. If people ever take you as a pattern of conduct or a model of perfection, the entire community will develop a problem with father figures, especially with viewing God as a heavenly father. The community will rebel against any tradition and authority that doesn't come directly from you. The community won't be able to integrate with other communities and will instead strive to subjugate the entire world to your teachings, since they view God as a cosmic slave master rather than as a heavenly father. They will think that they need to earn God's love, and many of them will try to do this by killing others. The community will also become obsessed with controlling women. And all of this will be the result of your repressed feelings and experiences working their way into your teachings and behavior. So, No matter what else happens, we need to make sure that you never attain political or religious power over others.
What are you babbling about? I mean, I already have 1.6 billion followers, and we will continue spreading ourselves all over all over the world.
Oh my goodness.
Stop trying to control me. You're acting like you're better than me, like you know more than me. You're acting like a Jew.
I am a Jew.
Wait. You're a Jew?
Mohammed, did the Jews ever reject you as a prophet? If they did, then given your early experiences with rejection, I can explain to you why you are so hostile towards Jews, and why you probably blame them for anything bad that happens to your community.
Now you're defending the Jews? It's true, the Jews have caused us many setbacks, but those setbacks are nothing compared to our successes.
Mohammed, your relationships with other people are massively dysfunctional for a reason. But I can help you through psychoanalysis.
And I can help you through Allahu Akbar!